third MVP award for the Pack. Talking to our Kenny Mayne on SportsCenter. Aaron expressing some doubts. Listen for yourself.
As I said last year, I didn't know if that was actually possible to be able to finish there. I still feel like that's kind of where we're at. I mean, I don't know that a lot of that's in my hands, but I guess we'll kind of see as we go. Like I said last year, there's things that are just out of my control. The team has obviously the power to do what they want. My job is just to play as well as I can.
Stephen A.
Yeah.
What does Rodgers have left to prove?
Well, listen, I think that it's one of two things. You got to win a Super Bowl. And if you don't win a Super Bowl, it needs to be vividly clear that you're not the reason that did not happen. We act like the quarterback position is everything. It's not everything. Aaron Rodgers can't catch the ball for wide receivers. He can't run the ball for running backs. He certainly can't rush the quarterback playing defensive end. He's not a linebacker. He's not a cornerback or in a free safety or strong safety. He's not in the secondary. In the sport of football, you can't look at one dude to do everything. You just cannot. We have to look at him and say, okay, in its totality, what does Aaron Rodgers bring to the table? Okay? And I don't think there's any question in my mind that this brother as a talent is the greatest quarterback we've ever seen in the history of the National Football League. Not the greatest resume, because we know that belongs to Tom Brady, and that's why he's the GOAT. But as a talent, I challenge anybody to tell me there's ever been a quarterback better than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, when you consider the totality of his career and what this brother's put up, I mean, you're talking about I don't know his overall record. I think it's like 160. I forgot what it was. I'm not going to even try. But I'm thinking about the 13 years that he's been the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Other than his rookie season, he's had as the starting quarterback for the team in 2008. The man has one losing season in the last 12 years. I'm thinking about he has 412 touchdowns and like 89 interceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a near 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. This brother is just on another level. At age 37, he is the reigning league MVP. 48 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions, completing 70% of his passes. This brother's just on another level. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I don't want to hear, Aaron Rodgers has to win a Super Bowl, otherwise he's flopped. Well, listen, you got that point if you got a defense. You got that point if collectively you got a team that's ready to handle their business as well. But I've seen plenty of instances in throughout Aaron Rodgers' career where Aaron Rodgers has showed up and the rest of the team didn't. And so that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm not going to look at him and say it's Super Bowl or else. We can't look at Aaron Rodgers and say you're the big reason why it did not get done. That's what we can't do. You got me there. But barring that, no. I'm going to tell you, he got to win. In all honesty, he needs to win a Super Bowl. But it's entirely plausible that Aaron Rodgers could be elite and not win because other dudes don't show up. This is football after all, and that's what I'm paying attention to.
Man, Aaron Rodgers has got to win another Super Bowl, period.
Well, first of all, his name is Aaron, not Allen. But go ahead.
I said Aaron.
You said Allen, but go ahead.
Well, it may have sounded like Allen, but anyway. Did I say Allen? Check the tape. That's his cousin, Allen.
Right.
Listen,
okay.
He has to win at least one more with the Packers. It'd be a good idea if he's going to not finish his career with the Packers to also win another. Here's the thing. I agree with you about what you said about Aaron Rodgers' talent. Best ever till Patrick Mahomes came along. I think if there's an edge, it even goes to Mahomes. But you want to say they're 1A and 1B, however you slice it, fine. Those guys are like, oh my God, they're just different from everyone else. Once upon a time, the guy like that, though a different kind of player, was Dan Marino. You just watched him with your eyes. Say, he's just better than everyone, right? But never won a Super Bowl. Montana won 4. Marino had to win that 1. The standard has changed. Brady's got 7. 7. You're not in the conversation for greatest quarterback ever with 1. What Brady has shown, not only was he was with a great franchise and then the best team this year, but he's also shown that the most important attribute a quarterback has, forget about all the eye-popping stuff we see from Rodgers and Mahomes. The number one thing is you have to have the requisite arm strength and accuracy, of course. But the number one thing is processing information quickly. Make the best decisions the fastest. That's what Brady seems to do. Now, I think Rodgers is really good at that too, right? The problem is he plays against Brady. Well, he's playing against the Tampa defense. He didn't have his starting left tackle. That's true. But in the moment of truth, there was daylight to the end zone. He threw it instead of ran it. And now it's not his fault the coach took the ball out of his hand. That's what happened. Coach blundered. But Rodgers blundered before Coach blundered. And Brady's team won. Rodgers' talent and decision-making and all that stuff suggests he should at least be in the conversation for greatest quarterback who ever lived. He will not be without another Super Bowl. It'd be one thing if he was on a bad team. And yes, the Packers did him dirty a little by drafting a quarterback in the first round, but they fielded an excellent team. They had chances to win the NFC Championship game. They've been in the NFC Championship game in consecutive years now, and while Rodgers is the number one reason, he's not the only reason. Who's running the ball? I mean, Aaron Jones, really good. With Devontae Adams, they got guys to catch the ball. Zadarius Smith, they got guys who can tackle guys. They have guys who can make plays on both sides of the ball, and they should get better through the draft. They have a championship caliber squad and an all-time great quarterback who just won MVP, still in his prime. No excuses. Rodgers needs to win another Super Bowl. Stephen A., or else what? We already know he's an all-time great, but his talent suggests he's more than just that. He should be at least in the conversation for greatest ever. He needs another Super Bowl.
Not when it comes to football. Football is too much of a team sport to put it at his shoulders like that. The fact of the matter is I can make a legitimate argument. I could challenge anybody to tell me to try to come up with a quarterback who's been let down more by his supporting cast over his career than Aaron Rodgers. I want to know who that is. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we might have to go back to Dan Marino. We might have to go back to something like that because he never had a defense, for crying out loud. We might look at it from that perspective, but you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody let down more by his supporting cast. The Green Bay Packers have not only asked Aaron Rodgers to be great, they've asked him to carry a franchise for the better part of his entire career. That's been the situation he's been dealing with in Green Bay, which is why it's so damn egregious that they don't have any guaranteed money for him after giving him a $6.8 million signing bonus just a few weeks ago. No guaranteed money for that dude. Age 37, who sits here today and is about to host Jeopardy tonight as the reigning league MVP at age 37. 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 70% completion with his passes. This brother is on another level. And the fact that we find ourselves talking about Aaron Rodgers in this regard is what makes all of this so blasphemous, so flagrantly disrespectful to the greatness that he has exhibited.
But even
Let me
by
tell
your
you
own
something right
admission.
now. Let me tell you something right now. It's bad enough outside of the Greek freak, the only thing Wisconsin's got is cheese, okay? It's bad enough that that's the reality. When this man leaves, when Aaron Rodgers decides to walk away, you're going to miss him when he's gone. And those people in Green Bay and throughout Wisconsin are going to be crying for a long time when that man is gone. You're going to regret it. You're going to regret how you treated him.
Unless Jordan Love turns out to be the next great quarterback.
Oh, please.
They didn't miss
We know he ain't going to be Aaron Rodgers. He ain't going to be no Aaron Rodgers.
He ain't going to be no Aaron
Rodgers.
Once upon a time, you think, well, Aaron Rodgers ain't going to be Brett Favre, and he was even better.
I didn't think that.
Time will tell. Look, the point is, by your own admission, Stephen A., when you talk about Rodgers, you have to say, but not accomplishment. I'm not saying by resume, I'm saying by talent, right? The fact is, even one more championship, because unlike Peyton Manning, Rodgers does not have a history of playing worse in the playoffs than in the regular season, right? So even if he gets even another Super Bowl win, he'll be back at least in the conversation. Some people could say, look, he didn't have Belichick all those years.
All right,
He's
Mac.
still got multiple rings.
Problem.
That's where he deserves to be.
No problem, Max. Then shut the hell up about great coaches then. Don't say anything no more. Because what I'm saying, I'm just...
Is Rodgers the greatest quarterback of all time?
Listen to me. What I'm saying is
he?
One of the things, regardless of Tom Brady's resume, it didn't stop you from pointing out the greatness of Bill Belichick and how Bill Belichick deserved credit for it. In other words, as great as Tom Brady was, you looked at Bill Belichick as an incredible cause that facilitated the success of Tom Brady. Because in the sport of football, that's what we do. We talking basketball or something, this argument is profoundly more significant coming your way. But because we're talking about football, you cannot ignore what Aaron Rodgers has been saddled with for years.
But when you say saddled with, yes, there were years where his team wasn't good enough, he had to carry them. His team is quite good now. And I challenge you. Are you saying Rodgers is in the conversation for greatest quarterback ever at this moment? Because if you're not, you and I both know he should be.
What are we talking about? We talking about resume, right?
Stephen A., you would not argue he's the greatest quarterback of all time. But the fact is, you and I both